Welcome into the Varsity Voices podcast presented by C Spire, where we are getting down to the last week of the regular season for some of our teams, and some teams have 1 week left, so playoffs going to be starting very, very soon. Breck Riley here, along with our usual crew, except for Jake Wimberly, and I guess Jake didn't learn last week what happens when you miss. Jared Schatz is still recovering from all that abuse that he took last week. Jake didn't learn, so it's just open season. And it's Halloween week, so we are in a mood. And so, we are going to make sure we give Jake Wimberly, give him the business. But we want to tell you that this opening segment, our pregame, is brought to you by Oxford Falls and Sizemore Catering. You get free shipping on all orders over $100 if you visit theoxfordfalls.com. You get you some sauces, like some comeback sauce, some dressing, some finishing sauces. Got to see Steve at Holmes Community College homecoming. Went down there and talked to him for a little bit. And hung out. I didn't get to eat any food because Steve's food is too good. I can't. After I eat, I want to go sleep, and I had to do a ball game, so we just hung out with him for a little bit. But we got the usual suspects besides Jake on with us this week, like Brandon Davis, the voice of the Warren Central Vikings. Brandon, you guys got a big win over the weekend.
Great win at Neshoba Central. Went over there, long drive, didn't get home till about 2 a.m, but a great 42-14 win. And with that win, we clinched our 14th consecutive playoff spot in the state and playoffs, which is remarkable considering we were a part of, before we had the 7A, we were 6A. We played Madison Central, Germantown. Of course, we went to the South and played Oak Grove, Brandon. So 14 straight years in the playoffs is a true testament to Josh Morgan and the coaching staff at Warren Central.
Yeah, congratulations to the Vikings. So speaking of Germantown, Jared Schatz, the voice of the Germantown Mavericks, we're just excited he came back after all that abuse he took last week, Jared.
That's right. A rivalry was born, guys. You can't really call it a rivalry until, one team beats the other one for the first time. Well, Germantown finally got the monkey off their back. It was not easy. Madison Central was not going to give it up very easily. They were 7-0 against the Mavs, and Germantown had to battle and really fight for it, but they get the W 21-17. A lot of emotion running through Gluckstadt, Mississippi over the weekend.
Yeah, that's a big ball game, and congratulations to the Mavericks. And also on with us is our producer, Caleb Hamill.
Hey, guys. Big games over the weekend, but I tell you what, a little hidden gem in there was Laurel getting a win over North Pike in running clock after halftime fashion.
Nice.
And now they are second place in their region after an 0-6, 0-7 start to the year.
Wow. So, good job there to the Tornadoes. Also, I'm going to throw a big tip of the cap to the Leake Central Gators. The Leake Central Gators are division champs, district champs for the first time ever in the history of the school. They captured a big win over Newton County, so no matter what happens, they still have a game this week against Northeast Lauderdale. No matter what happens in that ball game, they would still be district champs. If they win this Friday, they will go bell to bell. They'll be undefeated, so they're district champs, and they get the home game as a number 1 seed. So congratulations to Leake Central, which is really good because they didn't have a coach up until like a week before the game. The season started. The coach was there, then got let go, and then someone else had to step up. And so kind of a circus to start the season, but those kids have really rebounded. And hats off to the Leake Central Gators for getting the win there and capturing the district championship. So we got a lot to talk about this week on the Varsity Voices podcast presented by C Spire. We're going to talk to you about the big games from over the weekend, some of the, as we like to say, the water cooler talking points. And it is Halloween week, so I'm sure there'll be a little Halloween talk in here at some point this week. We'll find out what Brandon Davis has to talk about on the whiteboard.
I bet he likes candy corn. I bet the man loves candy corn, so the viewers will have to stay tuned.
As much as he loves mint chocolate chip ice cream, I agree with you, Jared. I believe he's got a secret stash of candy corn somewhere.
Y'all keep talking.
And
Mike Leach is just so ticked right now.
We will hear from Brandon Davis, and of course we'll take a look at this week's games, and we will make our picks. So stick around for that. You're listening to the Varsity Voices podcast presented by C Spire.
At C Spire, we've never waited on the future. We've built it. By harnessing the power of advanced technology to transform how we all live and work. Elevating connected living, accelerating tomorrow's business growth, and leading the AI revolution. All while staying true to our core purpose. You. Think we're done? Just wait. There's more to see. C-Spire. Customer inspired.
She had a good coach that pointed her in the right direction, and we were able to get to her quick enough, and she's young and healthy enough that she's going to have a great outcome.
I would say the biggest difference is just how Dr. Moss explained everything. I went into my second surgery knowing exactly what after surgery was going to look like, what during surgery was going to look like, and it just made me feel a lot more comfortable and confident with my outcome.
First down from the 20, option to the left side, and King White going to keep it, looking for a block from Johnson. He's got the edge. There goes White, 40-yard line, runs through another tackler. He's just dodging Jaguars, still going, 10, down to the 6-yard line. How bad does this senior want it?
Welcome back into the Varsity Voices podcast presented by C-Spire. It is our first quarter where we go back and take a look at all the happenings from last Friday, or even, I guess, Thursday. This time of year, there's a lot of games that get played on Thursday, and so we'll talk about that. And we want to remind you that this segment is brought to you by Mississippi Sports Medicine. Whether you're on the field or in the stands, get back to what you love fast. Same-day appointments available and no referral needed. You can visit MississippiSportsMedicine.com to schedule an appointment today. Well, guys, we had a lot of fun games from over the weekend. You know, Jared had a big one, as we kind of alluded to just a little bit ago in the intro. Germantown getting its first ever win over Madison Central. Jared, I imagine the folks there in Gluckstadt are on cloud nine.
Yeah, this was a big one, and that was a ball game for the last 7 years that Germantown just found ways to lose. Maybe they were too emotional, just saw something crazy at the end of the ball game to lose it. You know, to slay the giant, it takes a while, and it takes a complete effort. And it honestly looked like this ball game was going to go Madison Central's way. It was exactly the kind of ball game they wanted. They were running the football. They have a really good defense. Coach Mitchell in Germantown said it's probably the best defense in the district that will play all year. They're up 10-0 at halftime, and you know, that's a Germantown offense, guys, that averages 41 points a game. So it was like, well, if we can't move the ball on these guys, how are we going to find points? And just one of those, they chipped away at it, got a big turnover. Jaden Gross, defensive end, stripped Madison Central in the ball game. Got the football back, able to take that in for a score. King White's been phenomenal all year. He's been our player of the week right here a few weeks ago, and he had a big 70-yard run where he just absolutely would not be denied that set up the game-winning touchdown. And then Germantown's able to play defense, and it just one of those ball games that did not start out very well. Even Coach Mitchell said, I don't know how we pulled that out because that's not our style of game, but they just found a way to win. And that's what it takes sometimes when you're trying to knock off a big rival like that. Like, yeah, I say that. I don't consider it a rivalry until now. Every other sport, it's a rivalry. Yeah. But you have to make the other team, the other side, feel some pain. And I can tell you Madison Central feels some pain because, look, we did the all-time rankings. There's probably not a better program that's, I'd say younger than 40 years old than Madison Central. So for Germantown to finally get that win, that was huge.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's a great win, great program building win there for the Mavericks. And like you said, I think just the Madison Central folks might be look this week at work. They might be a little standoffish to their Germantown coworkers. Right there at the water cooler or getting a coffee this morning.
I'll tell you what's weird about it real quick. When we were leaving the ball game, I looked at a lot of parents that had kids at Germantown. They went to Madison Central. I went to Madison Central. The athletic director I know, and Greg Perry had Madison Central ties. Everybody had Madison Central ties, but there was a lot of emotion because that game meant something to the new club in Gluckstadt that was kind of looked down on by the old Madison Central people as kind of little brother. So it was really neat to watch.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. You are now out of their shadows. and you can move on and you can worry about yourself. I felt like through the years that, and I've jokingly mentioned this, but I felt like through the years, Germantown was too busy trying to become or be Madison Central. You don't have to anymore. You've got your own identity now. You can move on, do your thing. You are a great program. You don't have to worry about Madison Central. So that was a huge win for that program. I think it should really change the overall trajectory of that program over in Gluckstadt.
A long journey to get there. And after all these years, finally they get it done.
That's right.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, like, you know, one of the teams has to win for the rivalry to kind of start. And I've said that about, you know, Kosciuszko and Louisville in recent years. Louisville's rivalries with Starkville and West Point and Knoxville, because Kosciuszko really hasn't won since 2015. They got close to winning this year, and it all of a sudden got very, very heated between Louisville and Kosciuszko again. And so, like you said, it gets a rivalry when another team can kind of come in, and, you know, in Kosciuszko's case, they didn't win, but they got close, and that shows you that the rivalry, the embers run deep, and there's a lot of animosity between the fan bases. But another one that was fun from over the weekend is South Panola and Grenada. Of course, Grenada, the defending 6A state champs, they were going to roll through. South Panola, they've been up and down. You know, they're still South Panola, right? But they're up and down this year. But Caleb Hamill, you were the one that told us in the group how that game ended, and it was some fireworks at the end of that one.
Yeah, and really didn't expect the fireworks if you were following that game closely, because South Panola had that lead for, if not the entire game, the majority of it, as it was 41-28, I want to say, at the end of the third quarter, and Grenada just starts chipping away. And with just about 18 seconds left in that ball game, Grenada gets a controversial touchdown pass completed in the back of the end zone, and they tie it up 41-all. And that is when you get introduced to South Panola's TJ Sanford, guy that picks up the kickoff from the 20-yard line, fumbled it around for a little bit. It took him a while to pick it up, but that little pause and that melee allowed him to reach the sideline. He hits that seam, cuts back into the middle as he crosses midfield, and then it was just green grass and high times for him. And South Panola immediately responds on what ended up being the biggest play of the day, leaving very few seconds left for Grenada to try to put together a comeback. But they win at 48-41 and upset our entire list of picks, as we all had Grenada picked in our pick'em.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Grenada they've been running through some folks lately, right? And, you know, still
say that louder for the fan that likes to give us grief about Grenada. We all picked who?
I think we all picked Grenada.
Okay.
We drank the Kool-Aid.
So they let us down.
Thank
you, young
Grenada
man.
let us all down.
Imagine that.
Come on,
we still love Grenada and Coach Fair. I mean, it's a solid.
Of course we do.
I like Coach Fair. Mike Fair is an exceptional person. Grenada, I could care less about you, but Mike Fair, I love you. I do. Yeah.
Well, I do. His kid played at Holmes last year, and even came in the state championships radio network last year when Grenada and Hattiesburg played. We had Holmes players from Holmes. One played for Grenada, one played for Hattiesburg, and it was Fair, Charlie Fair. Yeah. Now he plays at Southwest, and Southwest has got a big win over the weekend. They upset Jones College in the community college ranks right there at the very end. So a lot of it's good to see a kickoff return or a kick return that people enjoyed rather than another one that we saw in Starkville that people probably didn't enjoy.
I wasn't going to bring it up. But
we'll keep rolling with some high school football. Another big one from this week that we had talked about in the MAIS ranks. It was a collision course. It was Leake Academy in Tri-County, and we thought that it was going to be a slobber knocker, and it was close early, and then Tri-County kind of pulled away. That one was 52-18. Tri-County gets the win. And once again, guys, we all think they'll probably meet again here in about 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, you look at. I've seen Tri-County over the years, and I've actually seen this year. Got to on my off week go over and call a Leake Academy game, and Tri-County just beat them with the ground and pound. Man, they are just a physical team. They like to run the football, and they like to play defense. And Leake Academy just had no answer for it. It was really controlling the line of scrimmage, and I think they will meet each other here in a few weeks, but I think there's really going to have to be some game planning starting now for Leake Academy. I know that sounds crazy, but they are going to have to figure out how they can really take the pressure off George Wilcox, because that is really not a good matchup based off what we saw in this matchup, the initial matchup. There's going to have to be something that really changes for them to have a shot, because Tri-County dominated in this ball game.
Yeah, I think that was what was so surprising, was that, we expected it to be a clash of titans, and what it ended up being was just Tri-County BTA, better than anticipated.
Yeah, exactly. It was Palmetry was keeping me up to date on the broadcast over there. At one point, it was like 6-6. I was like, "Oh yeah, we got a ball game," or 7-6, 8 something. It was close. I was like, "We got a ball game." And then the next few ones that came through, just Tri-County were able to do what they do. And I'll eat my crow. Matt Wyatt and I were the only ones that took Leak Academy in the pick'em. And whoever runs the Tri-County Twitter account was giving me the business about it, with some very good use of tombstone gifts from Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday. And so they were giving me.
Hey, I don't pick against Tri-County, man.
Yeah,
no, I learned that a long time ago.
I'll say this: I think if they play that game again in a neutral site, look out. They'll go back. Bleak, that is. They'll go back. They're going to study the film. They're going to see what they did and what they didn't do. They'll have more than likely, what you can do with Wilcox is a lot of high percentage dink and dunk type passes, then take it over the top. Wilcox is still, in my opinion, one of the best quarterbacks in the state, either in any classification. So, that's going to be a tough, it's hard to beat a team twice, especially the team that you just skunked. And, they've had a time to sit and stew on it and think about it and watch the film and see what they did and then hear the noise. So, that's going to be a classic of a game whenever they meet again here, I would say in a few weeks as well.
Yeah, and we'll take a look at some other ball games, but first up, we want to tell you this is that Fast Speeds win games. That's why C Spire delivers fiber, home, internet, nationwide 5G, wireless, and business solutions to help you reach your goal in record time. C Spire, customer inspired. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this.
Elegance is in the details. Pine Straw America's premium longleaf pine straw subscription ensures your landscape stays pristine season after season. Precision edging, flawless installation, because your home deserves nothing less. Pine Straw America.
Delicious, savory barbecue doesn't happen by accident. And great wings don't happen by accident either. Whether you're heating up the smoker or firing up the grill, the award-winning crafted in Mississippi finishing sauces and marinades of the Oxford Falls makes every meal a masterpiece and every bite unforgettable. The Oxford Falls helps make every mouth-watering meal one to remember. Shop now at theoxfordfalls.com and get free shipping on orders over $100.
Every job starts with the right equipment. At Empower Rental Group, we've got what it takes to get you moving fast. Empower Rental Group has it all to get the job, large or small, done right. From pickup to delivery, we're your trusted local rental partner. Rent online at renterg.com. That's renterg.com. Or come by and talk to our friendly team today. Empower Rental Group, built for the job.
There's the kick, high end over end kick, taken by, who is that? Taken by 16.
He's got the sideline. He's got the sideline. He's got the sideline. Just got to beat the kicker. He beat the kicker. Stay on your feet. Stay on your feet. No flag. Touchdown, South Panola. Kickoff return for a touchdown.
Woo! 47-41.
And welcome back into the Varsity Voices podcast presented by C Spire, where we are recapping last week. We kind of went over the major headlines just a little bit ago, and now we'll kind of do our traditional rundown. Looking at the top 10, West Point had no problem with Caledonia. West Point 51, Caledonia 7. Speaking of that, as we were recording this, got to give a big shout out to Bud Bowen. Woohoo, Mercy. Today is Bud's birthday. Woohoo, Mercy, 78 years old, still rocking and rolling and doing some West Point on their video stream. So woohoo, mercy to Bud Bowen. Tupelo had no problem with Horn Lake, 38-13. Number 3 Picayune rolled against Long Beach, 42-7. And here was a little bit of a closer ball game. Oxford and Clinton. Oxford gets the win, 33-23. But Jared, Clinton put up a good fight in this one.
Look, Hammer Morgan and that defense, we've talked about them several times on the show, and they didn't disappoint. They actually had a 16-point lead. I believe that was at halftime, but they put Oxford in a hole. Hey, Oxford's coming off that emotional win against Germantown. We were kind of wondering if Germantown was going to get beat twice, by Oxford, and was Oxford going to beat Germantown and then let Germantown beat them against Clinton because of the emotional win. Clinton got off to a good start. They really did. 16-point lead, I believe, at halftime, and 26 unanswered by Knox Kiffin and DeMar Jamerson, their big running back who really fits that system well with all their talented wideouts. But I heard Kiffin made a mistake or two in this ball game. And look, what's the worst enemy of a young quarterback? It's film. As guys start to get some film on you, they'll start to figure him out a little bit. But look, man, I saw the kid come off the bench and deliver that comeback a couple of weeks ago, and he's done it again. He's 2 for 2 in comebacks. I mean, you got to take your hats off to him. I mean, he's only getting started and he's only going to get better. But they end up winning the ball game. Oxford does 33-23, and that's a huge win, guys, because if Clinton comes back in that ball game, they just messed everything up in District 2-7A. I mean, it would all have been scrambled up and really wouldn't have been decided until the last week of the season or the district season here in a couple weeks. But look, Knox Kiffin's the real deal. I mean, I'm really impressed with the young man. This Oxford team is going to make a run if they can stay healthy.
Mm-hmm. Ever had the situation where 2 guys that you're introduced to around the same time kind of get merged in your head as one? Right now, for me, that's Knox Kiffin and Arch Manning. They're like almost the same person in my head, one from college, one from high school right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, definitely kind of makes sense there that, especially with as many kids that we cover each and every week on the podcast and, in our normal jobs and our normal games. But another one as we go down to the bottom of the state, Ocean Springs and West Harrison. This was all Greyhounds. Brandon Davis, 56-21.
Well, I tell you, yeah, exactly. All Greyhounds. Jake Bramlett and the boys, they travel over to Gulfport to take on West Harrison. And West Harrison's a team that we talked about being top 10 in the state just a few weeks ago. But they are very much reeling since they've got into region play. It was a high-scoring first half. Ocean Springs, they went into the break leading 28-21. So 28-21 at the break, but Bramlett and the coaching staff, they made some great adjustments, came out, and they scored 28 points in the second half to win the game 56-21. So a shutout performance in the second half. 7 rushing touchdowns for Ocean Springs on the night. Solomon Baggett, youngster we've talked about, 10 carries, 203 yards, and 4 touchdowns. On the season, he has rushed for nearly 1,200 yards and 17 touchdowns. On the other side, with West Harrison, again, the team we talked about a few weeks ago being in the top 10, we really liked them. Jordan Stapleton, one of the better running backs in the state. They're fighting for their playoff lives now. That if you look at that region 4 down in 7A South, you've got D'Iberville at 3-1. You have Gulfport at 4-0. Then you have Ocean Springs at 3-1, and then St. Martin and West Harrison are tied at 2-3 apiece. Now the leg up is that West Harrison does own a tiebreaker over St. Martin head to head, but this will be a must win game this weekend for West Harrison over Biloxi. So, maybe a little bit of fool's gold earlier in the season, what we were seeing from West Harrison. Now they're fighting for their lives, but yeah, Ocean Springs just continues to get better and better each week. And, talking about Oxford going to make a run, they're going to be a team out of the South with Gulfport that's going to be tough to beat.
It's a shame that Ocean Springs Gulfport game was at the beginning of district play because it would have been terrific at the end.
Right.
And of course, you know who we love from Ocean Springs, His Majesty Chalmers Berglund. We love Your Majesty there. Great.
Lord Berglund.
Yeah, Lord Berglund. Love the name there. Continuing with the top 10, Columbia, and a high-scoring affair with South Pike, 49-36. And who we had claimed was the hottest team in the state, Petal. Petal goes down to Pearl. What happened? The Panthers lose to the Pirates, and now that throws craziness for Eat Dirt coming up this week. So what happened there between Pearl and Petal, guys?
Who wants to go first on this one? I remember my partner in the booth was reading off scores on the air, and he got to that one, and I said, that's got to be a misprint. There is no way. And I love Pearl. I love the great folks. I actually had some Pearl folks call me after I called the scoreboard show and say, hey, we heard you, and we'll tell you about our game. And I was like, how did that happen? Because I saw him a few weeks ago, and is Jack Durr starting to, the quarterback for Pearl, is he starting to trust his injury? It takes guys a long time to come back, physically, obviously, but I always feel like it's the mental hurdle of, do I trust it? And you see that at all levels. Do I actually trust to go out there and give it all I have, to step into a throw, to make a cut, whatever it may be? Is he starting to turn the corner? I didn't get to watch the game, but I saw that score. Petal was on fire. It was Columbia and Petal, the hottest teams in the state, and they both had their, it was, obviously Pearl pulls the upset and Columbia had their hands full, but hats off to the Pearl Pirates, man. That is a massive win. Biggest upset of the year, if you ask me.
I would say so too. And what most people don't realize about coaching is the one day of the year that coaches stress out the most is pitcher day. Why do they stress out so much about pitcher day? Because they're trying to control 17 and 18-year-olds' minds. It's like herding cats. This situation here is just a true trap game. Think about it, guys. They had just beat Brandon the week before. They knew that they were kind of controlling their own destiny. You've got Pearl, who's struggling, that is scoring no points at all, has been terrible all season long. They are at home, by the way, against Pearl. So I think they just sleptwalk because they know they were closing the season out at Meridian and then Northwest Rankin. To me, it's just the classic trap game. Really surprised of seeing that out of a Marcus Bulls team. But to me, it's so hard for a coaching staff to control the emotions of 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. And that was a prime example. But give credit to Pearl. They have fought back. They have, Jack Durr, as you said, he's one of my favorite quarterbacks. Their defense was pretty good. And I think Pearl took the lead in the third quarter, and there was no more scoring after that. So plenty of opportunity for Petal. They just couldn't get off the mat.
Petal had a chance there at the end. Mm-hmm. Petal had the ball at the 19-yard line before they turned it over on downs with under a minute to go. So had a chance there right there at the end and failed to score to tie that game. But, not really dominant one way or another, just a gutted out win for Pearl.
Yeah.
It was homecoming at Petal.
That's crazy. I'm telling you. They were more worried about going to the dance.
Yeah. They caught them at a perfect time. They did.
We've seen it before. We were Warren Central. We were a ranked team, I think in the top 5 in the state, and Murrah came to town. Murrah was winless, and we beat them 12-6. And it was just, they were too worried about going to the dance. And I'm telling you, that's what it is. Too much stuff going on. That's what coaches say. They hate homecoming week and they hate pitcher day because it's hard to control the kids. And that's a classic example of it right there. So, but congratulations to Pearl. Hey,
absolutely.
You came down and did what you're supposed to do,
Coach Schooler's a great coach. They've had some misfortune since he's got there with the injuries and trying to, obviously put his stuff in play, his system. But this may be the game. Maybe this takes them to where they want to go, the start of it.
Speaking of homecoming, I love what Kosciuszko's coach Casey Orr says about homecoming. I ask him about it every year when it comes up about the distraction. He says they just tell the guys, girls like dancing with winners. And if you lose the homecoming game, just make sure you win the game. Yeah. And it's a lot better going to a party if you won rather than if you didn't.
Well, Breck, if the coaches around the state, if there weren't a lot of them using that phrase beforehand, they will be now after watching this.
Coach Orr going to go get that one copyrighted, right? That's his thing right there. Mm-hmm. But rounding out the top 10, not a lot. Gulfport, no problem with Biloxi, 35-0, and D'Iberville was off. They didn't have a game this past week. And a few more games to talk about. I know that Caleb Hamill was in a good game. Purvis and Northeast Jones was a good one, 28-21 with Purvis getting the win.
Yeah, that was one where it's kind of back and forth. And Northeast Jones got a game-tying touchdown there in the early start of the third quarter, but just a bad sequence there towards the end. They give up a 97-yard touchdown on third down and long. And then on the next play from scrimmage, Northeast throws a pick 6. So you go from having a tie game 14-all, thinking you're about to get the ball back, to giving up 2 straight scores, and then it was just too much to overcome. Ended up losing at 28-21. That was how Purvis was able to get out of town with it. And now Northeast is kind of behind the 8 ball when it comes to playoffs with their first year in 5A.
Yeah, and another one that's kind of shocking was Winona getting the win over Choctaw County. So Choctaw County sitting in third place in that district, the defending 3A champs, because they lost to Noxubee. I don't know how all that plays out. That's one thing we're going to be doing. This week is looking at scenarios for how those are going to play out. But that was a big one there. Also, Nanawaya and Ethel. That was a Nanawaya blowout, 40-16. I was getting updates. And they said 16-0 Ethel really quickly. Whoa. And then the updates, the Nanawaya kept rolling as Junior Graham sends me a recap of the ball game, and he just said that they were more physical. And he said once they lost the momentum after that 16-0 start, just weren't able to get back into it. So it's looking like in that region you might have a Nanawaya, Lee County, Ethel, and then kind of that 1, 2, 3. See how that plays out. Kosciuszko and Yazoo City, the game I was at, 46-0. Kosciuszko, no problems with Yazoo City. Big shout out to CJ Sandifer, 3 touchdowns on the ground with 10 carries for 103 yards. So he was our player of the game. Lanier and Florence, how about the Bulldogs, guys? Still undefeated. Lanier 34, Florence 20.
Crazy.
Believe that
just the highlight of the year.
Yeah, I believe that matches their all-time wins in a season, the most wins they've had in a season, if I'm not mistaken. Incredible. Hey, great job. Still waiting on that shirt, but great job.
Yeah, we want some swag.
They're gonna win. They're gonna be a 1 seed. They're gonna host a playoff game. That's crazy. They're gonna be the 1 seed in that region 2 and 5A South and 5A North, excuse me, or 6A North, 5A North, yes, excuse me. And what else can you say? Like we said, people made fun of that hire when Tommy Kelly came on. They thought it was a joke the way they did the press conference, the way he came out. He was wearing shades, but all that guy does is coach football. And he understands, and Jake talked about it, he understands what he has. He doesn't have a 5-star quarterback walking his hallways. So he takes what he has. He has big physical kids that can teach the block, and they've got kids that are fast that can run. So he takes what he has. He's uses it for his advantage, and they play great defense. So I'm so thrilled for that team. Jared talked about it. It's great for the city of Jackson. And it also is good for the school and the morale for the school. So can't say enough good things about that. And a big win. Florence is a team I can't figure them out. They are, they went to Vicksburg. They had the game on in Vicksburg. They were up by, I think, 11 with like 5 minutes to go, and they end up blowing that game. But I really can't figure Florence out. They're 3-5 on the season, 1-2 in region. They still have a chance to make the playoffs. But that was a big win for Lanier, and they're continuing to prove that they are a legitimate program in 5A.
So we love the people at Lanier, right? We love the school.
Love Lanier.
All right, so that now they're about to get mad at me.
Yeah.
A bigger program needs to come knocking on Coach Kelly's door. I'm
covering up because folks about to start throwing stuff at Jared Schott, so I'm covering up.
If they'll send me a shirt, I'll just be quiet. I've been asking I need a Lanier shirt. But no, seriously, Lanier is not an easy place to win, guys. That's one of he's got to be Coach of the Year. I'm sorry. I know there's some very worthy candidates. He has to be Coach of the Year. But all that to say, there's some big programs that have openings, and you would be crazy not to at least interview him. Just saying.
Would Brandon interview him?
I didn't say it. You did. Thank you.
I'm asking the question. Yeah, I'm asking the question.
I don't know.
And
let's ask Jake Wimberly.
Hey, Jake, what do you think?
Wait a minute. Wait a second.
Hey, look. This guy's a program builder. He took a team and a program that were in the dumps. It was a basketball school, and he put it together because he understood what he had in the hallways. Maybe that's not what the last guy did. I don't know. But you've got to at least talk to him. He may not be interested in going anywhere. He may want to stay, and especially if he's having to serve as the athletic director at a place like Brandon, he may not want that at all. He may just want to coach ball, teach whatever classes he teaches, and go home. But he's a guy that you've got to at least have on your list. You're dumb if you don't. So we'll see what comes of it.
Oh, And we'll keep rolling here. Big one up at 2A. Baldwin got a 10-point win over Hamilton, 38 to 28. Cleveland Central knocks off Vicksburg, 34-10. A close one down in the South. Jared Schatz says, you and I, we've been big on Raleigh. They got a win 27-21 over Seminary. That one's a close one.
It was, and it was 7-7 very early in the ball game, and it was Seminary just literally, going up on top. They would go on top by a score, and then Raleigh would have to come back and match it, and it was one of those where they intercepted Raleigh in the ball game. Raleigh was just playing from behind the whole ball game, and then able to one of those where it was 14-14. Going close to the locker room, and then they intercept the pass from Raleigh, and then Seminary is able to get a 2-yard rushing touchdown and able to go up in the ball game 20-14. And then it was Raleigh just making the big plays, 21-14 at halftime, and Raleigh's able to make a couple big plays and get the ultimate decision maker on the scoreboard, 27-21. But it was not easy. This is a Lion defense that has been really good all year long. We talked about them coming into the season that we thought they would make a run. But Seminary was one of our sleepers. They were maybe one of the last sleepers we talked about, but they were on there. And they caught Raleigh at a good time, but Raleigh able to overcome a deficit and get the win 27-21. That was a huge ball game in that district, and I know Brandon and I talked about it on the podcast a couple weeks ago. The only team that a coach said that thought could beat Raleigh is Raleigh. Well, they turned the football over, and they almost got snake bit by Seminary, but a great job by the Bulldogs, but Raleigh gets the win 27-21.
And I'll tell you, if I can add on to that, Ryan Higdon's going to appreciate this game more than he realizes, because it's hard to teach when you're blowing teams out. And again, it goes back to the mind of dealing with these kids and trying to get them to see the bigger picture. And it's hard when you're doing well to teach and to make them understand sometime. That was the one thing, if you look back at Nick Saban, why was he chewing people out when they were up 70-0 over UL Monroe or something like that? It's because when you get in those tight games, you don't lose and get rid of your discipline, lose your discipline. So this is going to be a wake-up call for Raleigh. It's going to be a chance for them to go back and look at the tape and study that. But yeah, I like Mitch Evans is a great coach. He was at Taylorsville, won a state title there. He's done a great job at Seminary. I wouldn't be surprised to seeing these two locking horns again before it's over with.
And rounding out the games, you had Biggersville, no problem with Smithville in a 1A battle, 62-13. Oak Grove beats Brandon 20-7. We'll get Jake Wimberly's thoughts on that. And now we're done with that one. MAIS, you got Hartfield beating East Rankin 56-30. Heritage defeats Starkville Academy 34-14. So that is our wrap on the week that was last week. We got to say thank you to a new partner here with us in the podcast, T3 Global Projects. They've done multiple field turf projects throughout the state. They specialize in artificial turf athletic field installation for schools, communities, and professional organizations. From the ground up, our professional services create fields that are built specifically for desired sport, designed for the climate in the area, and capable of being maintained with simple maintenance solutions year-round. So welcome to the podcast, T3 Global Projects. So that wraps up this one. We'll be back with you, I guess, tomorrow for another edition of the Varsity Voices podcast presented by C Spire.